The story of Saint Helena.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Long ago, during the 3rd century, the Roman Empire stretched across much of the known world. It was an age of power and splendor, but also one of deep unrest. Christianity was still a young faith, and for many years, believers lived in fear of persecution. Yet in this turbulent time, God raised an unlikely woman who would forever change the history of the Church. Her name was Helena. Helena did not come from nobility. She was of humble origin. Some say the daughter of an innkeeper in the town of Drepanum in Asia Minor. She lived a quiet life, not destined, it seemed, for greatness. But her life would take a dramatic turn when she caught the attention of a Roman general named Constantius Chlorus. Though she began her life in obscurity, Helena's journey would lead her to become the mother of an emperor, the finder of the most precious relic in Christian history, and a saint remembered for her humility and faith. Hers is a story that reminds us how God can lift the lowly and use them for His glory. Helena became the wife, or according to some traditions, the companion of Constantius Chlorus. Together, they had a son, whom they named Constantine. Life for Helena at this stage was far from easy. Constantius, as a rising military leader, eventually set her aside to marry into a more politically advantageous family. Helena did not hold on to bitterness, though. She poured her heart into raising Constantine, instilling in him values of justice, wisdom, and compassion. As Constantine grew, he never forgot his mother's love and devotion. Though she no longer lived in the spotlight of Roman society, Helena's influence on her son remained powerful. She shaped his character in quiet ways, planting in him seeds of faith and virtue. Over time, Constantine rose through the ranks of the Roman army and, after years of civil war, emerged as the sole emperor of Rome. Known as Constantine the Great, he was the ruler who issued the Edict of Milan in 313, granting Christians freedom to practice their faith openly for the first time in centuries. For Helena, this was a turning point. Her son had become the most powerful man in the empire, and he did not forget her. He honored her, restored her dignity, and even gave her the title Augusta, placing her in a position of great respect. With her son now emperor, Helena embraced the Christian faith with all her heart. While Constantine had granted freedom to Christians, Helena took this gift further. She lived it. She prayed, gave generously to the poor, and supported the building of churches throughout the empire. She became known not for luxury, but for her deep humility and her devotion to God. But one mission would define her life more than any other. Around the year 326, Helena, already an elderly woman, set out on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Her heart was moved with longing to walk where Jesus had walked, to see with her own eyes the places where he was born, where he taught, where he suffered, and where he rose from the dead. For Helena, this journey was not one of curiosity. It was an act of faith. She wanted to preserve and honor the story of Christ in a time when the empire was being reshaped. She wanted to ensure that generations after her would never forget the reality of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. The most famous part of Helena's journey came in Jerusalem. Tradition tells us that when she arrived, she was determined to find the cross on which Jesus had been crucified. By this time, nearly 300 years had passed since the crucifixion, and the holy sites had been covered or neglected, even desecrated by pagan shrines. Yet Helena would not be discouraged. She ordered the area around Golgotha, the hill of Calvary, to be excavated. After much digging, 3 wooden crosses were uncovered. But which one had been Christ's? The question left everyone in suspense. Then, according to tradition, a sick woman was brought to the site. One by one, she touched each cross. When she touched the 3rd, she was instantly healed. The people rejoiced, and Helena wept with gratitude. The cross of Christ, the very instrument of his sacrifice, had been found. Helena reverently took part of the cross back to Rome, while another part was left in Jerusalem, enshrined for the faithful to venerate. For Christians everywhere, this was more than the discovery of wood. It was the discovery of hope, a tangible sign of God's love and the victory of Christ's passion. But Helena did not stop there. She sponsored the building of many churches in the Holy Land, including the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, over the site of Jesus' resurrection. These churches still stand today, bearing witness to her faith and determination. After her pilgrimage, Helena returned to Rome, her heart filled with joy. She continued to live simply, despite her imperial title. She used her wealth not for herself, but to help the poor, the hungry, and those in need. She died around the year 330 in her 80s, beloved by her people and honored as the mother of the Christian empire. Her legacy, however, did not end with her death. The relic of the true cross that she found became one of the most venerated treasures in Christian history, inspiring devotion for centuries. The churches she helped build became holy places where millions of pilgrims have prayed through the ages. And perhaps most importantly, her story reminds us that God can use anyone, no matter how humble or forgotten, to accomplish great things. Helena was not born into wealth or power. She was set aside, overlooked, and underestimated. Yet her faith and perseverance allowed her to play a central role in shaping the Christian world. That is the story of Saint Helena, the humble woman who became the mother of an emperor, the pilgrim who sought the places of Christ, and the faithful servant who discovered the true cross. Her life shows us that holiness is not about status or privilege, but about love, humility, and perseverance. Whenever we face struggles, whenever we feel small or overlooked, we can remember Saint Helena's journey. God can take the simplest life and make it extraordinary. Like her, we are called to carry the cross, not as a symbol of defeat, but as the sign of Christ's victory and God's endless love for the world.